If you're building an AI SaaS in 2025, you might as well buy secondhand MacBooks and flip them on eBay. You'll probably make more money in less time with less class. In this video, I'm going to break down the biggest myth in AI business today, the AI SaaS fantasy. We'll walk through the waves of AI SaaS hype since 2023, the real cost behind scalable SaaS, why micro-SaaS sounds good but breaks most builders, what the 2023 AI SaaS crash tells us about the current AI SaaS hype, and what you really need to succeed. Why should you listen to me? Because I've been head of sales in a VC-backed B2B SaaS company, and also because I've done over 1,000 coaching calls with hundreds of founders building AI businesses. And you know what? I've seen the same thing over and over. Founders say, I want to launch a SaaS because it's more scalable. I can do the whole thing fast with AI tools, with Lovable or Supabase, launch fast, monetize, and done. This mindset is a trap, a recipe for disappointment, failure, and pain. Not because SaaS is broken, but because your belief about it is. So if you don't want pain, burnout, wasted time, and you actually want to build something profitable and real with AI, stick with me. Let's break this myth once and for all. AI SaaS is hot again, but AI SaaS hype isn't new. However, things have changed a lot in 3 years, and most people are not aware of it. So let's have a quick look at the AI SaaS hype story and some data, just to put things straight. So the hype chronology and why this keeps coming back. So it started in 2023 with the craziness of the prompt as a startup wave. Dozens of rappers launched in 2023. Think of GPT chat with PDF, legal bots, tweet generators, all that stuff. And guess what? Most collapsed from churn and no more. Then the reality came back and VC kind of pulled back in 2024, early 2025. And by the way, one of the big like with the AI SaaS fantasy is the big multiple that you can make when you exit. But it's supposed that there are investors to buy the business, right? And the problem is, if you check at the data from Q1 2021 to Q2 2025, actually AI startup funding dropped massively, because investors got tired of rappers and all this hype around AI SaaS. And so you can see the number of deals dropping a lot. You may object, the VC money investing in AI has never been higher in Q1 2025, which is true. But first and foremost, still, fewer people are making deals to give money to AI companies. We've seen that already. And in addition to that, the total money given is bigger because few really huge deals are taking most of it. If you check at this graph here, and you can see the average size of the deal has increased a lot. If you check at the numbers, 7 big deals make up for more than half of all the money invested in AI in 2025. And these deals are for well-known companies with strong AI technology. Top 7 deals are taking 61.2% of the total investment in AI in 2025. That's crazy. What about the small AI SaaS? Actually, small new AI companies that just add simple features or use AI on top of other tech like OpenAI API, for instance, are getting much less money and fewer deals. They're up there, 5% of the total investment. AI enhanced wrappers and SaaS. It's really, really, really tiny. Okay, so the context of investment is really not favoring AI SaaS, right? Anyway, the AI SaaS fantasy is back stronger than ever despite this context. Why is that? In 2025, it's the VibeCoding hype that has reignited this SaaS illusion. You know, VibeCoding with tools like Cursor, Lovable, Bot.u. The promise is that you can build SaaS just by talking to AI. And it's interesting, but it's far from being reliable. And actually, dev communities and various case studies show it's still brittle, unscalable, and profitable. Quick note here. It's not because it seems easy to build that first, it's actually easy to build. And second, that it's valuable and worth building. But more about that later. I think there is another explanation of this AI SaaS hype. It's the AI business brutal return to reality. Lots of AI founders who tell me they want to do an AI SaaS say it because they struggle with their current AI business model. Most of them have started an AI automation agency. Some of them have started AI consulting. Some do custom development. And they kind of see it's harder than what they thought it would be. They have discovered that actually AI business is more business than AI. And you know what? Business is hard. So they dream of an easier way to AI success with AI SaaS. That seems miracle. But most of them dream of AI SaaS without validation, team, proof, or users. And guess what? That's the recipe for disaster. Let's zoom in on why people really fall for this trap. The myth goes like this. It starts with the easy to build illusion, VibeCoding, AI like you build SaaS in minutes. We've touched that already a bit. But then it goes on with the scalability illusion. SaaS is more scalable, right? So it's better. Oh, actually, no. And that's what we are slashing next. The scalability lie. SaaS is scalable is one of those seductive half-truths. Yes, it can scale, but only after years of surviving cash burn, infrastructure pain, churn, and trust building. And most SaaS founders don't make it far enough to ever touch scale. But what can we learn from successful SaaS? Let's have a look at one of SaaS OG, old gangster, Salesforce. Salesforce is founded in 1999. IPO in 2004, didn't report meaningful consistent net income until 2020-ish. It's 20 years. And only 24, 25 did it actually for between 4 and 6 billion in annual profit. The SaaS dream took 2 decades. What about successful AI SaaS? Successful. OpenAI, 2025 forecast. 11.6 billion revenue, but 14.4 billion burn. Even elite infra players like OpenAI can't outrun infrastructure cost curves. That's a huge thing in AI SaaS. Let's have a look at Stability AI. 11 million revenue versus almost 100 million infrastructure cost plus 55 million payroll. Near collapsed in 2023 under scale pressure. So, hey, scalability is not easy, man. Then Anthropic. 60 billion valuation. Okay, but it's still losing money, running on Amazon and Google subsidy. So you'd better get some people pouring cash into your SaaS business if you want to scale it, right? Does that look easy to scale and fast to profit? Of course not. SaaS ain't magical, SaaS ain't easier. SaaS is business and business is art. It takes time, sweat, and tears, and most of the time, it still fails. Okay, so maybe big old daddy SaaS isn't the move. Huge SaaS is not for us. But what if you go small? What if you build a micro-SaaS, solo, stay lean, and automate everything? That's the next fantasy we're killing. Micro-SaaS sounds a better option. Solo, clean, controlled, but it's not magic. Well, let's have a look at one of the most successful micro-SaaS guy, one who made it work at scale, Peter Levels. And what can we learn from Peter? What kind of achievement he made? He built Remote OK, Nomad List, Photo AI, some of the most well-known profitable solo build SaaS projects in the indie world. He publicly reported generating over 3 million a year solo across his micro SaaS stack. He has several monetization vehicles, the micro SaaS, affiliates, AI tools, etc. And he grew slow, but steady, with no VC, no co-founder, no team. That's cool, right? Now, what made it possible? How did he do it? He shipped 70 plus projects. Only 4 became long-term successes. That's brutal, right? He did also the 12 startup in 12-month challenge publicly in 2014. And that's what drives public attention on it. By the way, he's a full stack. Developer, designer, content, growth, customer support, all handled solo. And you know what? He lived on less than 500 a month in Thailand for years to reduce cash burn and increase cash availability. And he also was his own niche early on. Digital nomads, indie creator at the right time, just after the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week book. And he built an audience and his product at the same time using a built-in public strategy. He's also an early adopter of several key platforms like Product Hunt and Twitter. Levels didn't pick the perfect model here. He just out-executed everyone. The guy is an outlier. He built fast, he killed project as fast, and knew what niche he served. But most people think, if he did it, I can do it. But they forget that he was solo, but full stack. And he built distribution for years. It took time. And he was early in some waves, which is really smart, and it's not obvious. It's easy to say that after, when you are in the action, it's not obvious. So good for him. And also he optimized for freedom, not really scale. And most people are not ready to live this kind of life, by the way. Don't forget something. He failed 95% of the time, which is brutal. And most people cannot sustain that. Most builders They aren't full stack, they don't have audience, and they don't have this tolerance to failure, tolerance to pain. They can't outlast 50 or a 70 flop to find one hit. So reality check here, most people want to copy Level's surface, tools, solo builder, myth, minimalist stack, but they miss the real foundation, rare edge, brutal repetition, complete live design. Micro-SaaS isn't easier. It's brutal, and this is what it takes to win in micro-SaaS. And guess what? We can't even speak of scaling here. If we consider Peter one of the micro-SaaS category king, is making 3 million a year. Solo, which is, as a solo guy, it's outstanding. It's crazy, but it's just 3 million. It's not scaling. But let's say you don't have to build from scratch and grind like Levels IO, because AI makes it easier to build SaaS, right? You're not the first to think that. This is a deja vu. We've seen this movie before with the GPT wrappers wave in 2023. Let's go to the graveyard. The GPT wrapper graveyard where build first thinking goes to die. What is a GPT wrapper? A GPT wrapper is a SaaS app built almost entirely on top of OpenAI API or similar API, similar AI providers with minimal business logic and infrastructure. Think of talk to your PDF, summarize your Zoom call, write your email for you, create Excel formula with a prompt, all this stuff. It sounds smart, maybe feels scalable, but it's a mirage. Between 2023 and early 2025, the market was flooded with wrappers. Hundreds of such SaaS were launched on the market with trendy stuff on product on, but now, guess what? Almost all of are dead or faded. Why? Because they got no moat, they all use the same API, same providers, no IP, no infrastructure, no edge, nothing, zero defensibility. Anyone could clone that in a weekend. And most of them had monetization and profitability issues because they were making user pay for $9 or $19, but actually it costs, in terms of token, it could cost hundreds of dollars to deliver the service per user. And of course, they had poor retention. Why? Because once the novelty has dropped, and most of the time user experience not that great, and also AI results are not that crazy, basically churn skyrocketed. In addition to that, there was the investor reality check because in late 2024, AI investors publicly called out the wrapper problems. Some wrappers hit projected 7-figure annual recurring revenue quickly, but they became unsellable anyways. No investor wanted to buy a business entirely dependent on OpenAI. Like Dirk Salmers write it, the problem, no serious investor is going to touch this. Too much uncertainty, no defensibility mode. The most wrapper could only either extract short-term cash and then close the business, try to sell at a massive discounts, or pivot or disappear, and most did. Now, let's have a look at one GPT wrapper success story and what we can learn from it. The exception that proves the rule. It's Tugan AI. Tugan AI launched really early in 2023, and they targeted a very specific niche, the copywriting for marketers niche. They were really early 2023, and they targeted early adopter niche. The founders of the company knew inside out. But there is more. Tugan AI wrapped GPT, yes, but it succeeded briefly because of real leverage. First, the founders knew the niche inside and out once again, and they had distribution. They already had an audience in the niche. Plus, they knew how to run ads. The product made burning pain for this niche, which is content speed and also some copy fatigue. And by the way, there was a window of opportunity because back then ChatGPT quality was really bad. Couldn't write anything decent. They built a tool, and as a matter of fact, the team exited the business fast before saturation killed the margin. Tugan AI worked, but only because it had timing, niche insight, and go-to-market skills. They didn't stay long in the business. They succeeded because of this criteria, not because the model was sound. And once again, they exceeded early at the right time. I think it was a smart move. This stuff reminds me a bit when an experienced crypto team launched a token or NFT during a bull run, rides the hype, capture liquidity, and then exits quickly. That's a bit the same model here. Okay, so Tugan AI NFT like this. Well, this being said, Tugan AI was not a crypto scam, but just a perfectly timed flip by expert founders. They saw an opportunity, a very narrow window to seize it. They tried it. They had some leverage to try it, and they succeeded. But let's face it, most people who try to do the same, because they were missing leverage or because they didn't exit soon enough, they just failed. So it's not sustainable for most business owners. Okay, it's really hard game to play here. If we try to draw a strategic reversal insight from this, every GPT wrapper that failed shows us what really matters, actually. Defensibility, delivery, go-to-market and distribution, differentiation, timing. If you skip those, it's not AI that will save you. So GPT wrappers didn't work out, but now there is a new wave, and it's selling the same line, just dressed in VibeCoding BS. Let's talk about the VibeCoding illusion, the GPT wrapper myth repackaged. What is VibeCoding? It's coined by Andrew Karpathy in this tweet here. And VibeCoding is the idea that you can build software by instructing AI in natural language. You don't need code any longer. So that's very interesting. That's really promising. And I think that's the vision, but it's not really there yet. Why this AI SaaS wave is the same lie recycled? First and foremost, that's the same build first mindset. Let's just launch something fast and figure out value later. This is also the same API dependence. They build this quick SaaS the same way. They're still tied to OpenAI or Anthropic or whoever AI provider API. They are still missing the same fundamentals. There is no ICP clarity, ideal customer profile clarity. There is no retention plan. There is no defensibility, no IP, nothing. Of course, it's also the same illusion of scale. Just because AI wrote the front end and back end doesn't mean your product can handle users and survive churn. And I'm really skeptical about VibeCoding helping you with a strong backend that can sustain big user growth. It requires other development skills. VibeCoding is not enough. But still, most people, they feel, hey, I can build pretty much anything with this stuff, which is an illusion. So some business realities naive people ignore about VibeCoding. It's good for MVPs, for sure. For prototyping and testing ideas, VibeCoding is really powerful, really interesting. But you need to spend some time on it. It's not perfect for being perfect. You have the same drawbacks than each time you're using GenAI. GenAI is not perfect. I would say VibeCoding is most likely terrible for products. For building real infrastructure, scaling workflows, managing churn, supporting users, which is not just technical, as you can see, VibeCoding won't help you. This problem won't go away just because AI helped you build the prototype fast, right? If you want to build a SaaS, you still need leverage. Without audience, distribution, cash flow, product depth, VibeCoded SaaS is just another illusion. That's a tiny portion of what it takes to build a SaaS, actually. Some market reality check. Early, we got the AI SaaS GPT wrappers that failed despite being backed by VC, like lots of VC money available back then. And they had the first mover edge. When, let's face it, ChatGPT and all these solutions were really far from being good. Now we have VibeCoders who are facing a crowded market with less funding and more competition. Doesn't sounds like a good opportunity windows, right? And by the way, attention is scarce and skepticism is higher on the market. So the bar for success is basically way higher. And in addition to that, the tools are more accessible than ever, which means everyone can now launch a so-called app overnight, flooding the space with undifferentiated products and making it even harder to stand out without a real product, a real audience, a real strategy. VibeCoding reignite the hype, but the conditions are really bad if you don't have access to leverage to actually launch a SaaS, even if it's quite easy to build a prototype. So if small doesn't mean easy, GPT wrappers don't last, and VibeCoding doesn't scale, what does it actually take to win in AI SaaS? That's next. Truth number one, business model is not leverage. SaaS isn't a leverage, it's just a container. Info product, consulting, service, custom development, product, SaaS, all models work when the core is strong. Business success doesn't come from the vehicle. It comes from a clear problem you're solving, a real buyer you solve the problem for, a proven transformation result that you can back up with real proof, and system that repeats it. Picking SaaS doesn't make your offer better. It just raises the complexity of your delivery most of the time. Truth number two, execution builds outcomes, not infrastructure or tools. GPT, N8N, MCP, whatever, doesn't validate product market fit. Lovable, bold.new doesn't close sales. The Supabase, Firebase, infrastructure, whatever, doesn't create retention. You don't need better tooling. You need to know who you're helping, why they trust you, and how you will keep them coming back. Number three, SaaS requires leverage. It's not easy. It doesn't provide you leverage. SaaS doesn't reduce effort, cost, and complexity. If you don't have proof of outcomes, positive ROI on your offer, and clear ICP, then doing SaaS just add tech debt, cost drag, and more complexity. And even if you've survived the early chaos and somehow grow, you won't magically unlock the big exit multiplier, because high SaaS exit valuations only apply if you've built a real company with acquisition engine, retention engine, IP, delivery, team, margin control, etc. And it takes years to do this. And most of the time, millions that you have to invest upfront without profiting anything. No profit for years. See Salesforce, see OpenAI, see Anthropic, see all the big SaaS, successful SaaS. In 2025, it's even more stupid to go the AI SaaS route, because the VC money open bar days are gone. The party is over. So SaaS doesn't multiply leverage, it amplifies exposure to risk. You have more costs, more complexity, more point of failures. You don't build a SaaS to bypass business fundamentals. It's not a shortcut. You build it only when those fundamentals are already there and strong enough. Truth number four, most founders don't have the leverage stack SaaS requires. Okay, once again, you need distribution, cash flow, or investor money, support and infrastructure to handle, and the team to build and maintain the SaaS infrastructure. You need some IP, niche depth, execution speed, talented people in go-to-market, sales, operations. Most people have none of that when they decide to build a SaaS. They don't have the leverage to start with a SaaS. Truth number five, the right order is always pick the right problem, validate the pain, prove the delivery works, then use leverage, team, capital, systems to enable the scale. Once again, SaaS is just a wrapper. If you build first and validate later, you will bleed. Trust number six, build it and then will come mentality is still a lie even in AI. Just because it's easier to build doesn't mean it's easier to succeed. You may have the illusion of speed, but this must not replace the discipline of relevance, business fundamentals. AI, at the end of the day, doesn't rewrite business fundamentals. And it seems that the AI illusion makes it easier to ignore these business fundamentals. But do this at your own risk. So you don't win by building, you win by solving the right problem for the right person, the right way, over and over again, and getting money for that. And only then you can improve the wrapper you're using to deliver your service to more people. Sometimes the wrapper is a SaaS, sometimes it's service, sometimes it's custom development, sometimes it's consulting engagement, or even info product, or courses, or online education. The business model should follow the value and the way you deliver. So you don't pick a model, you earn it. If you want to build a SaaS, earn the right to. Prove the value manually, build a system, then scale it with SaaS. But be careful, it will require lots of money, lots of effort, even with VibeCoding. Okay? So, and once again, I'm not saying SaaS doesn't work. It does, but it's not any easier than any other business model. And it's most likely more complex, require more team right from the start. I can tell because I've been head of sales in SaaS, so I know. So please, you may want to do SaaS, but think twice. Don't fall for the AI SaaS trap.